I can't think of a way to start this episode.
Amigo in the morning.
Coast to coast and around the world, welcome back to Minneapolis and welcome back to Amigo in the morning show. About a dog that doesn't actually star a dog. It's the only show it's the only show with the namesake of a dog that doesn't actually star a dog, which might not be true. I don't know. I'm trying to I think today's episode will be a little shorter. I'm trying to talk I'm trying to talk less about baseball. I'm glad I can talk about baseball on here, and I like talking about baseball on here. But the episode was so long last time, and I mainly talked about baseball. I'm not talking about the stories, the topic of the main video is about. So I'm trying to do that. Also, I'm recording this on my iPad, which has a ghost touch right now because the screen's kind of cracked. So there'll be times it gets touched by when nobody's touching it. So for whatever reason the audio gets really bad, it's because this stopped, even though it's off right now, so it shouldn't happen. So it's whatever point I may have to use the camera's mic, and I'm sitting kind of far away for that to be good. So this episode might not be good. Let's see. Let's just get into it. Piece of news: International Space Station Expedition 59's crew landed safely after a 204-day mission. The crew was a Russian cosmonaut, a Canadian flight engineer, and a NASA astronaut. Space is crazy. I mean, that's probably the most redundant phrase I've ever said. But space is it's crazy. I mean, to think about it, there's so much. Like, you can leave the world. Like our world is the Earth, but our world is technically the universe, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I don't know. It's crazy. NBA awards were last night. Giannis Antetokounmpo won MVP, which, I mean, I think that was going to be pretty obvious. That was my prediction. That was my prediction pretty early on in the year. He's one of the best players. I don't like him because he plays for Milwaukee, obviously, but yeah, whenever I'm with someone that's also a basketball fan, I'll intentionally butcher his last name. I'll say like Giannis Antetokounmpo, and they'll be like, "Oh, you mean Giannis Antetokounmpo?" And I'm just doing it for fun. I think there's times where they think I'm being serious, and I seriously just don't know his last name. But I know his last name. I know how to spell it. I'm pretty sure too. Luka Doncic won Rookie of the Year, which is crazy because he's not Josh Okogie. Ever since Black Panther came out, or ever since really I've been prepared for Endgame, I keep mixing up Okogie and Okoye. I mean, it's very close, you know. Pascal Siakam won Most Improved Player. I mean, I don't really watch the Raptors. I didn't watch much of the NBA this season after the first few Timberwolves games because we had that 5-game losing streak, 5-game road trip in the West Coast, so we lost all of them. Clippers, Lakers, Trailblazers, Warriors, Kings? I don't remember. It wasn't in that order. I think Kings were the 5th one. It wasn't the Suns. Derrick Rose won Moment of the Year for his Halloween game versus the Utah Jazz 50-point game. I remember that game. I like to hand out candy on Halloween. I've been doing it since 4th grade. But nobody shows up to our house because our block doesn't really do it. And we're like one of the 2 houses on the block that does hands out candy. So there was only like 2 people, or only like 3 people, and I only handed out to 1. I made some Turkish Delight, which is a thing from The Land Witch and the Wardrobe, is where I discovered it. It's a dessert. And then I had it once. Some family friends came over, 2010, like a couple days after we got Amigo, and they brought it. And that was when I was reading the series. And then I made it again, and it was bad because you're supposed to let it sit for 5 hours, but I got the idea to make it at in the afternoon. So I was like, oh, I want to make it, and then I was like, oh my god, you have to make it sit for 5 hours. So it only sat for 5 hours, but it's better to have it sit overnight, I think. It kind of ruined powdered sugar to me now. Now I think about powdered sugar and I just taste that and I don't like it. Yeah, that was the debut of the classic uniforms. It was looking like we were going to blow out the Jazz, a team that cut Rose last year. And then we were losing in the 4th quarter. It was back and forth. Derrick Rose got the game-winning block. So that was a fun game. It was a fun day, and the Twins got to re-sign him. Not the Twins, the Timberwolves. Ugh. Minneapolis, high of 81 degrees, partly cloudy, and then clear at night. New York, 79 degrees and sunny. Miami, high of 91 degrees, partly cloudy. Houston, high of 85 degrees, cloudy, and then a couple spots of rain. Los Angeles, 74 degrees, cloudy to start, partly sunny in the afternoon, and then sunny in the evening. Twins didn't play yesterday, but they did play 2 games since the last episode. We'll briefly go over those. Saturday, 5-3 win, 10 innings. A good outing by Barrios. He had to leave in the 8th, though, because of a blister, so only went 7 innings. Ended up giving 2 earned runs, which, he probably shouldn't have came out in the 8th, so he probably should have had a shutout, or at least a 7-inning shutout. Rogers had a shaky day. I don't get Baldelli's use of Rogers. It seems he doesn't use him for 3 days and then uses him 2 days in a row. I think Rogers should still be an all-star. He was pitching for the 2nd day in a row. He gave up 1 earned run, but he let the 2 runners Barrios get on score because we had a 3-0 lead after solo homers by Sano, Cave, and Crone. Speaking of Crone, he went 3 for 5 with that homer, and then he also had another RBI in the 10th inning, one of the 2 game-winning RBIs, the one that put us ahead. May got the win. He's 2-1, and Parker got his 10th save. Parker has kind of come back to his self. He had some really bad outings. He's still been kind of shaky. He hit the batter on his first pitch. And then Sunday, 1-6. Was the final. We lost. 1907 uniforms, dressed the Nines Day. I hate them. And I don't like them for 2 reasons. There's 2 things I absolutely hate in baseball uniforms, and they really only show up with throwbacks. Those are colored pants, like the Twins wore there, or the Pirates wear on Sundays, or Vanderbilt's uniforms. I think Vanderbilt has the ugliest uniforms in baseball. And I know everybody loves them. They better beat Michigan, by the way. College World Series is today, Game 2. Rosario hit his 20th homer. That's how he scored our only run. Oh yeah, the other thing I hate about the uniforms is they're cut different. So I think every uniform should be cut the same for every team. So I think if you have a throwback, wear the throwback. I'm fine with the color pants if it's like for 1 game a year. And it's only if it's throwback though. And the collar and the cut, I don't like it. It's like they're super baggy, and the collar was big, and the sleeves were weird, and the buttons only went halfway down, and so that they're trying to be accurate, which I don't like because it's different. Like you could potentially change the outcome of the game because the uniform's different. You could have the game-winning run about to score, and then he trips because of how weird the uniform feels. So I think you shouldn't take a chance. I think all uniforms should be cut the same in every sport. I think a Twins throwback uniform should be cut the exact same way as a Dodgers home uniform, or at least the same for every team. Team's choice, and then all their uniforms are cut the same way. I wish Chris Sale was on the Twins so he could cut the uniforms up. Pineda went 5 innings pitched, 8 hits, 5 earned runs, no walks, 5 strikeouts, and a homer. Pineda's been not great. Moore gave up the other one. He's been fine for a 5th starter though. I think Odorizzi and Barrios and partly Perez have spoiled us a little bit because they've been pretty consistent. But the Twins left 11 batters on base, or 11 runners on base, and that's pretty much been the story the past 2 weeks. Other MLB news: Phillies beat the Mets 13-7. Yankees won again. They beat the Blue Jays 10-8. Red Sox beat the other Sox 6-5 on a walk-off bases loaded infield single. I think the bases were loaded. And then Cleveland beat Kansas City on a Jason Kipnis walk-off homer in the 10th, 3-2. They're now 7.5 games back. They're coming close. It's crazy. The Indians are playing the best baseball they have all season. Twins are playing the worst baseball they all have all season. And yet the Twins have a winning record in that stretch, and the Indians have only gained like 4 games in like a 3-week span. Cubs beat the Braves 8-3. Diamondbacks beat the Dodgers, who finally lost 8-5. The Dodgers didn't hit a walk-off homer, even though they're on the road, so they can't anyway. So still, and then Colorado beat San Francisco 2-0. It was a Monday, not a lot of action going on. Series preview: Twins, Rays. Twins are 15-27. The Rays are 45-33. They've been very wild. I don't know what to think of them. We'll talk about that in a minute. 7:10 p.m. tonight on Fox Sports North. Gibson going 7-4 with a 4.18 ERA versus Blake Snell, who's 4-6 with a 4.4 ERA. That's crazy. And yet he'll probably pitch great because of the Twins. Our offense is very good, but it seems like when we're facing bad pitchers, they do good against us. We faced some Cy Young winners, though. This is a stat that's been brought up during Twins games a lot. the Twins have beaten like 4 Cy Young winners or something. They beat DeGrom, they beat Arrieta, they beat Kluber. Probably someone else. I think there's someone else too. Price. Did Price pitch a 17-inning game? I think David Price started the 17-inning game. Okay. 3-game series. Game 2's tomorrow at 7:10, and then Thursday at 12:10. We'll go over that in that episode. So since Tampa has played us, the series which we got blown out the first game and then won 3 out of 4. So all those fans, oh, the Twins are fake. Twins aren't that good. And then we won the next 3 games. They've been very not great. They've had some decent series, but recently they haven't won a series in a couple, or at least in like 2 weeks. Since we played them, they won 2 out of 3 at Detroit. They won 3 out of 4 at Boston, who everyone seems to like to beat up on, except for the Twins. And then they lost 2 out of 3 versus Oakland. They split a 4-game series versus the Angels, and they got swept at the Yankees, and they only split the A's on the road. So they've been kind of not their best. All right, ignorant Zelda fans. So this topic I found last night. It was late. I was watching YouTube, and I saw a video. It was 9 things we want for Breath of the Wild 2, the sequel that Nintendo announced at E3. I was like, okay, I'll watch this. This seems like a good video. Let's see what happens. And the video bothered me so much. Because what they were saying is, what we want in Breath of the Wild is bigger dungeons, less atmospheric music, and more epic music. More linearity, mini dungeons. And I was like, so what you're saying is you want a Zelda game. That's what you want. You're just describing every Zelda game prior to Breath of the Wild. The whole big thing about Breath of the Wild is it's open world. It's a change of pace, even though the series was originally open world, but now it's 3D, so now it's the first open world. It's really the first real open world game. Link to the Past is kind of an open world, and same with Link Between Worlds. What you're saying is you want a thumbnail. You want a Zelda game that's not Breath of the Wild. You want every 3D Zelda game that's not Breath of the Wild. You want bigger dungeons, boom. You want more music, boom. Stone Tower Temple theme, Hyrule Field theme, Midna's Lament. You want more linearity, which is literally the whole good thing. That's what everybody praised about Breath of the Wild. I'm not saying I don't want linearity. I want a little bit too, but I don't want a completely linear game, which they don't want either. They just said more linearity. But that's what the beauty about Breath of the Wild is. You can beat Ganon in 15 minutes. I still haven't beaten that game, by the way. It made me so mad. And then the comments were like, yeah, Breath of the Wild should be more linear. I'm like, but what? Do you not realize the whole point of Breath of the Wild and of the direction that Zelda's going? I don't see how they could not realize what they're saying. What they're saying is you want Ocarina of Time, you want Twilight Princess, you want Wind Waker, you want Skyward Sword, you want kind of Majora's Mask. I don't know, a 3D concept. It's not super linear, but it still is because you do the dungeons in an order. And the idea for the linearity thing, what they suggested was 3 dungeons, then you have to do 1 dungeon, you have to do 3 dungeons again. I was like, okay, so you're saying A Link to the Past, or A Link Between Worlds. You got to get the 3 pendants, you got to get the Master Sword, you got to do the Dark World stuff. I mean, you're describing A Link to the Past with the 3-1-3 thing. Which it doesn't, just because it's been used before doesn't mean it can't be used again, doesn't mean it can't be good again. But why make a whole video about it when you're just saying the video could have just been, here's what I want in Zelda. Regular Zelda. I mean, I like regular Zelda. That's why we all started playing Zelda. It wasn't because of Breath of the Wild. We fell in love with games like Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask and Wind Waker and Twilight Princess, even though I've only played 3 out of those 4. But it bothered me very much. Here's another thing I thought of. So Rupee wallets has been brought up many times as pointless by like Matt Pat and Peanut Butter Gamer. Well, it was one video that they did top 5 worst Zelda items, or top 8. And yeah, I mean, it doesn't make sense why you would need a limit for wallets and not for items. So yeah, that's a whole conversation on our own. But here's what I was thinking. Does that mean a red rupee has 20 times the mass of a green rupee? Because it takes up 20 slots. Like, unless Link's getting monitored by like the IRS or something, there should be no limit. I mean, if he can fit rupees, that means he can fit 200 physical rupees in his bag. Then he should just make them all purple rupees, because those are 50 apiece. So that's kind of, I mean, that's a video game. I don't know why I'm looking into it so much. But, or maybe like a rupee magically turns into green rupees. Like you take a blue rupee and then you put it in the bag and it automatically turns into 5 regular green rupees. I don't know why I'm thinking about it. So I want to do my mini wish list for Breath of the Wild 2. A semi-open world. So this is basically what they were talking about, kind of, where it's not linear, but it does have an order, kind of, which is kind of what I want. I don't want to explore everything again, especially if it's the same Hyrule. I mean, if it's a new land, which I'll get into in a minute, then I want a little bit more of a story, which they were saying, but I'm not making an entire video about it. So, so a little bit, not necessarily linearity, but a semi-open world, if that makes sense, if that's possible to do a non-open world without being linear. I don't know how that would be possible, but the closest thing to it. Another thing I want is a new world. So in the trailer, the teaser, you can see something going on under Hyrule and under Hyrule Castle. And so what I'm hoping for is this is like, the castle's gonna not go out into the sky like Age of Ultron and then move, but like something happens. I don't know, Link gets knocked out, gets transported out of Hyrule. Basically, this is what I'm saying. I want the world to be in Breath of the Wild 2 to Hyrule in Breath of the Wild as Termina is to Hyrule in Ocarina of Time. Because if it's open world, I mean, it's the same copy, pixel by pixel copy of the last world, which probably won't be. I mean, if anything, there'll be more settlements or something. But I want a new place, and I think a lot of people do too, because we don't want to explore the same thing over. Last thing I want is, this is an idea. I want the characters, some new characters in the game, which of course they're going to be, but I want Volga and Sia and Lana and everybody from Hyrule Warriors that isn't in a Zelda game. Because now we can justify them being in Hyrule Warriors, and we can have familiar villains who we haven't actually played before, or sidekicks, kind of, with Lana. And that's the thing, they mentioned like having a sidekick. I'm like, okay, so you want Navi, you want Fi, you want every Zelda game, you want Tal or Tail, I don't remember which one stayed with Link, you want King of Red Lions, you want what every Zelda game already has. So yeah, that frustrated me. Next video is going to be, I want Ganondorf to be green and red now. I'm like, oh, you don't say. Today's Q&A question is, what's your favorite animal? Wow, that's a really hard one. I don't know. I do have a morning show. What's that named after? My favorite animal is dog, or dogs, or puppies. If we're talking about favorite animal, as in one, would be Amigo. Favorite species would be dogs. Favorite wild animal, though, that's a hard one. Horses are kind of cool, but I've never seen a real horse, I've seen horses, I've never seen a wild horse. I got chased, me and my brothers got chased by a horse. Maybe that's a story for another time. Or, lions and tigers are kind of cool. I don't like cats, but I think wild cats are fine. Or big cats. That's a whole nother debate. Wolves are like dogs. Eagles are kind of cool, but they have this terrible football team named after them. So I don't really know about favorite wild animal. Favorite animal in general, though, would be dogs. If you're new here, at the end of every episode, we either do a fun fact, a motivational quote, or a piece of advice. And we do it by spinning the wheel of Random Wheel app on my phone. And let's see what we get today. We got fun fact for the second episode in a row. Today's fun fact is sea lions are the only animal other than humans with the proven ability to move their bodies in time with a beat. So if you're drumming, a dog will look at you like this, a human will be like, yay, and then a sea lion will be like, if it's catchy enough. You gotta make a good beat. So that does it for today's episode of Amigo in the Morning. Hopefully the audio stayed in the whole time. Subscribe to my main channel, All Season Cell 1. Subscribe to the second channel, All Season Cell 2. Follow me on Instagram at Amigo in the Morning at All Season Cell 1. Follow me on Twitter at Amigo in the AM at Awesome Season Cell. Head me on Snapchat, Awesome Season Cell. Exactly 6 months till Christmas.